Guys, I'm going to be colouring an image from Myka Jelina today. This one is called Amethyst Lily Flower Angel. She's really cute and I really enjoyed colouring her up. She was very quick to do, so let's pop in and have a look. So guys, I'm going to be using some pastel-y colours today, so a lot of light markers. I have done a colour list which I will put on my blog. So I'm starting with YR000 and I'm just going to put this colour all over the skin as the first layer. So I did actually miss a tiny little bit of video on the wings, but I've just added some, because I went back over it at the end, I've added that into the middle section when I'm doing the wing here. And then obviously it's the same technique but with the first layer. So I'm just popping in and doing this nice and rough, not blending or anything like that as yet, just going over and trying to get a nice even layer. I've gone over the nails as well because we're going to put colour over the top of that anyway. And I've decided to go with purples and pinks and blues for her, and I wanted to use some pastel colours because I use quite bright colours normally. I thought the pastels would be a nice way to go this time around. So I'm coming in and I'm filling out some shadow areas now. I'm doing YR00 for that, and just popping it in where I feel that the shadow should go. So wherever something is sitting over her face or on her skin, so her hair and things like that, I've just put that shadow in. Look, it really doesn't matter if you don't put it in exactly the right place. There could be light coming from all directions, so there could be all sorts of strange shadows on her anyway. So don't stress too much about it, just put it where you think that it might go, and as the more often that you do this, the more that you'll start to figure out and you'll start to see things differently, and trying to figure out where to put those shadows, it helps to train your eye so that when you're actually looking at an image just in general, so looking at somebody sitting at a kitchen table, for example, if the light's right above them, they'll have a really bad shadow across their eye, so you can't see that very well. So they're things that you'll start to notice as you start colouring and you start to fill in the shadow details and things like that. So I'm just popping in little creases where the fingers would bend and things like that with the YR00 at the moment. So I'm using Copic markers with Xpress at blending card. This one I've printed with my inkjet printer as a grayscale colouring because I didn't want the outline to be too black with the pastel colours. So I'm coming in now with a little bit of B000. The B000 is really great. It's a little bit different to the pinkier tones. I quite like it, and it goes really well with the pastel colours as well. So I'm using this as to create the main shadow, the darker part of the main shadow now. So I'm just going in over the top of the areas that I did with the Y00 and just darkening it up with that B000 now. I'm going to blend it out with RV00 to put some pink tones through, and I'm just going to blend this over and a little bit further out from that blue. So you can see there it's starting to fill in nicely, the shape starting to contour a face and things like that. So I'm just going over that with RV00 now. So I actually purchased this image off Etsy through Myka Jelina's Etsy page. You can buy it as an individual image. I actually bought it as a pack, so I'll probably do a couple of her images in my tutorials because I quite like them. So I'm going to come in with some R20 and I'm just going to put in some blush on the side of her cheek here, and I'm going to blend it out with some R000. So I'm going to blend that out now with YR000. So I always try to blend out any blush or eyeshadow that I put on with the lightest colour that I have put on as well, just to give it a nice smooth blend and make it look like it's smooth. So I'm just going over that now and filling that area in. So she's starting to look really cute now. Now I do apologise for the colour in the video. Sometimes it gets a little bit dark and sometimes it's too light and you can't quite see the colour, but just keep going, and at the end there yours might not look exactly the same as mine because obviously we might not put shadows in the same place. We might do different types of shadow too. You might do yours darker or lighter, so it will look a little bit different anyway. So I'm just filling in again over the top of everything with that YR000 now. Just wanted to get it nice and smooth now. So I'm just going to bring in that YR00 again, and I'm just going to deepen up the lines because they were grayscale, they're not very dark. So I've just gone over all of the lines with that color just to blend them into the skin a little bit more there. I've just redone with that color the nails, and I've gone over it with R000. So here with the wings, I'm using B63 and I'm deepening up. This is my first layer. So I actually did, first of all, before I started this, I did B00 RV02, and then I've come over it with that B63. So all I've done is, as you can see what I'm doing now, I'm just lining the lines that were already in those, and some of them didn't have any lines, so I created like a vein down the middle of each of those feathers and put little flicks out from that. I'm going to, so first of all I did that with the B000, and then I went over that with RV02, and then I've gone over it with the B63. I'm coming in with some V01 and putting some pink and purple tone through that as well now, and just going over that. So you can see in a moment I'll just paste a little bit in to the video of me doing a second layer. So I want you to do 2 layers over this. At the end I do go over the blue, the darker blue, the B63 again, to deepen it up and put some shadows in. So this is all I did. So I'm using the RV02. All I did was go along and put the little lines in. It's a little bit like what we do with hair, so I've just put little streaks all through it to give it some texture, and then I go over it again with the other colors. So as I said, I do apologize for that. So we used B000 first as a first layer, then I went over it with RV02, and then I did B63 and V01. So now I'm coming in on her top and doing some detail on the top here. I'm putting some shadow areas in with the B63, and I'm going to blend it out with some B60 so it's nice and light, and it looks nice. So we're coming in with RV02, and I'm putting in some shadow areas on the top, and I'm going to blend it out with RV00, and I'm going to put a bit of B000 through that as well, just to put some blue through it. So that's the top done. So this one is quite quick, and it hasn't taken me very long to do. So I'm coming in to do the eyes now. I've used B69 in the top part of the eyes, and then I've come down a little bit and blended it out with B66 and then B63. So we've created like shadows on each edge of the eye, and then at the bottom part of the coloured eye there, I've made it a little bit lighter. I'm putting in some black for the iris, and also I'll put this on the eyelashes as well. I also use some C3, some C1 and some 0 just to put some shadows on the whites of the eye as well, because they are spheres. We want them to look like they're round and not just flat on the page. I've got some R22, and I'm popping that on the lips, and I'm going to blend that out there. So I'm blending it out with R20, and then I've just gone back in and deepened it up with the R22. So I'm going to put some white highlights on her lips to make them stand out and put a bit of a shine to them later. So I'm coming in and I'm doing the lilies now. I'm using V09 to do all the shadow areas and the lines that were in the flower, and I'm also lining the outside as well, because as I said, it is a grayscale image, so there wasn't any dark lines, so I've popped them in with this V09. I'm going over the top of that with V06, just bringing it a little bit further out. It is some fine detail, so take your time and don't stress too much about it. The bigger flower up on her head, if you wanted to go there first to have a bit of practice before you go to the smaller one, then that may be better for you. So I've gone over that finally with the V04 to finish it off, and then I've come into the orb part, which is like a glass ball. I've put in B000, and I'm using some RV000 as well, and just creating that look of glass in there. So I've come into the middle parts with Y38 for the top of the stamer, and then I've got the bottom part of that, I've used Y04 for that. So I'm going to repeat the same steps on the top flower here. So I've lined the whole flower with V09. I'm going to blend that out with V06, and then blend it out a little bit further with V04, and then I'm going to do the middle parts of the flower with the Y38 and Y04. So you can see there with the bigger flower, it may be a little bit easier to start with that one because there's a little bit more room to play around with. So this image I actually printed as an A4 image, so it is quite large. I find that the A4 is a little bit easier when doing tutorials because you can see more details. So I think we're pretty much done with that part. Now we're just going to finish off the hair. So the hair is the last bit, and then I've just done a pastel background. So I'll pop through and we'll start the hair next. So I'm going to use some E55. I wanted her to have blonde hair, so I'm going to put some E50s through, and I'm going to put a little bit of yellow through it as well into the highlights just to brighten it up a little bit. So all I'm doing at the moment is I'm coming in with that E55 and I'm just putting colour on each side of the top part of her hair there. So I want the middle part to be lighter to create that shine look in the middle part of the hair there. So I'm actually using little lines to come from the shadow part and bringing them out towards that middle part. So I'm using the little lines to create texture so it does look like little strands of hair through there. So I'm just going to go along and I'm going to do all of the parts that I feel would be darker than the rest of the hair. So anywhere where it dips in would be darker, and anywhere that it comes up and around from a curl and things like that would be lighter. So where a curl up in the top left part of her hair there, where a curl would flick over, the underneath part of that would be darker, and so would where the curve or the curl is curling round. So those are the parts that I'm going to do dark now. So if you wanted to just follow along, you can. If you want to just do it in your own way, that's fine too. So I'm just coming in now and finishing off that. If you would like more information on hair, colouring in hair, or even just the shadows and light source and things like that, there are some great online classes. One in particular that I liked for hair was Kitten Clatter. So they have an actual hair class where they teach you how to do hair, and that's using markers and pencils, so you can always have a look at that. I've popped the link down the bottom in the description if you'd like to check those out. Please just let Elise know that I did send you. So I'm just continuing on and finishing up the front parts of the hair and just filling out those shadow areas now. So the hair does take a while, just keep going, and as I have said in previous videos, it is better to take your time. The longer that you take doing it, the more detailed the hair will look, the better look that you'll get. So I'm just continuing on to do that now. I just also wanted to mention too, I'll pop a link or an information link there on the video to a tutorial that I've actually done on hair quite in depth, so you can have a look at that as well. So I've almost finished filling out all of the shadow areas there. So I'm coming up to swap over to the next colour. I'm going to use some E53 and I'm going to just do little streaks from the E55 out towards the middle again. So we're still leaving a gap in the middle of each of the hair strands, and I'm doing little lines again to create that texture. So I'm coming in with that one now. I'm just going to go over all of those areas. I'm going to blend it out again with E51 and E50, and I'm also going to put some Y000 through the highlighted areas just to brighten it up a little bit. I'll then go back in and deepen up the shadow areas just so that they stand out more and you can see the difference between the light and the shadow areas. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm blending out at the moment with that E53. Just while I'm doing that there, if you would like to join the Facebook group, the link is down below. Also, you can follow my blog and I'm also on Instagram as well. So those links are in the description below. So I've got some E50 and I'm coming over the previous colour and bringing it a little bit further out. Now after I finished this, I did think that it was still a little bit light, so I come back in with some E51, which is a little bit darker, to deepen that up a bit. So now I've got that E51 and I'm coming back over the top of that area. I'm going to come back in with Y000 next, and I'm just going to put this in the highlighted areas and just put some of that colour through just to brighten it up a little bit. Now I've got that Y000 and as you can see I'm just going into the highlight areas, just brightening up that colour a little bit. I've got the E55 again, and all I'm doing is going into the shadow areas and redoing those areas. I'm also going over all of the lines that were already drawn in and deepening them up a bit, because as I said before, they are grey. I just wanted to give them more of a brown look, so I've gone back over with the E55 to do that now. So I'm just going in quickly and just redoing the shadow areas just to deepen them up a little bit so that you can really see the difference between the lighter sections and the darker sections now. So I'm using the Stabilo Carbothello pencils again. I really like these pastel pencils. They're easy to blend and it's great for doing a quick background. So all I'm doing is the colours that I've chosen is 335, 425 and 100. I will put those in my blog with the link to the blog in the description below. And all I'm doing is just putting on circles of colour and smudging them in with my finger. You can use a cotton bud or anything like that. a cotton ball, anything that you'd like to use to spread that out. I've just used my finger, it's quicker and easier. I've used the white to lighten it up a little bit in areas and to smooth it out and even it out a little bit. So I'm just spreading over the whole area now, and this is a colour that's in the orb as well, so it's already kind of in that section there. And I will go over the wing in a moment as well, just to deepen it up a bit and show some shadow and contours through that as well. So I'm just going to pop this through into the sections of hair there as well. I'm not putting too much pressure in. When I put too much pressure in, you can see the actual lines for the strokes that I've done, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm just keeping to the light pressure and just going over and doing the remaining areas. So I'll also do into the gaps in the hair and things like that as well. I'm not worrying too much about going over the image either, because I'm going to use a kneadable eraser and just go over the image and just erase the dusted off areas that are there. So I'm not stressing too much, but I am trying not to go directly onto the image. So you can see there I'm just alternating between the pink and the blue pencil and the white to create texture and to give the colour of both of those pencils through those areas. So some areas I wanted to look purple, some blue, some pink. So that's kind of the effect that I was looking for, which was a little bit of, I guess, blotchy colour over the page so that you can see a bit of everything through that. So just finishing that up now, I'm going to bring in that kneadable eraser and I'm just going to rub over the areas that did get the dust on them, just to brighten them back up again, because the colour dulls it off a little bit being chalk. So the eraser I can shape to whatever shape that I want, and I can just put it over the areas that I've gone on to. Being alcohol markers too, it's not going to affect the image at all. So I'm just going to go over and finish that off and clean that up for you. Just got a brush there to brush off the dust as well. So I'm just getting out my opaque white watercolor to do over the highlights of the image now. So I also missed the earrings there on the left side of her head there. I did do those throughout the video there as well. I used Y38, Y35 and Y32 for those, and I did put a little bit of E15 in them as well. So you can see I've just put some nice streaks on the globe there to show that it is made of glass as well, and I popped a couple of reflection circles in there as well. I'm putting this white all over her and putting it in the hair. Everywhere where there's highlights I'm putting it. Also have put a little some dots into the middle of the flowers as well on both of those, and I'm also going to do the eyes as well. So you can see I've already done a couple of spots in the eyes. Just missed some chalk on the flowers there, so I've just cleaned that up as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've done. You can put these white sections anywhere, it's up to you. It is just a bit of contrast color. It shows highlight and reflection, and it actually just basically makes the picture. So I'll just finish that off now. So now that I've finished the highlights, I realized that the wing still looked a little bit plain and looked like it was still sitting back a fair way. So what I've done is I've grabbed the B63 and I'm just coming back over the wing section and just in all the shadow areas, deepening that up and making it a little bit thicker. So instead of just doing a nice thin line between each of those feathers, you can see now that I'm starting to put thicker lines in. It's really giving it some shape and creating the effect and the illusion that the wings actually curled around her shoulder there. So that's all I'm doing. So with the B63, I'm just going into those areas and making them a little bit thicker, and you could see there on that finished image that I'm coming into now that it really did make the wing and made it look more 3D. So guys, thanks so much for watching the tutorial today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was a quick one. Just remember, if you want to download that image, that you can get it from Myka Jelina's Etsy page. I'll pop the link in the description below. Thank you again, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all soon. Thanks guys.